So the RFU have a review coming out next week about this pretty disastrous tournament for England in the Six Nations. Will they sack Eddie Jones, and who could replace him if they do? Well, I've gone into the reasons why England had a bad tournament, so I'm not going to be going into the negatives in this video. Have a look back at my last England video for that as to their debrief of the tournament. So I'm going to start with saying what I think about what should happen and the reasons why they should not sack Eddie Jones at the moment. So, point one, it's going to cost a lot of money. Now, I know I'm pretty cynical on this channel when I come to money. I believe it really is the driver for a lot of decisions in just any elite professional sport, to be honest. But it would cost the RFU an arm and a leg to get rid of him because he's in contract. And money's tight at the moment. Even though the RFU have the most money of all the unions, it's still very tight because they haven't been able to, make any money from ticket sales. So for that reason, I think they're going to be very reticent to sack him now. Point two, his stats are actually really good. Take this Six Nations out of it, which was a bit of a disaster. He's won 3 Six Nations, Grand Slam, Rugby World Cup final he's got to, and his winning percentages against other coaches are, some of the best ever for an England coach. So, he's shown he can win. I think the question now is, can he reinvent this team? He's kind of had the same team, inherited a lot of the players off Stuart Lancaster, got them into a winning team, but now even he himself has said he has to completely reinvent this team. Can he do it? I think that is the question they're asking themselves. Is he the type of coach for that? And number three, it doesn't sound like he's lost the dressing room as such. I think the senior players still respect him, still think he's a very good coach. Whether those senior players should still be senior players or be replaced, that's a different question. But he's definitely shown them loyalty, doesn't throw them under the bus. So I think, he could definitely still carry on with this group of players. It's whether that will be the same for a new group of players, of course. So there's plenty of negatives as well, which I've gone over, like I said before. But at this time, it doesn't make logical sense, I don't think, to sack him. Many of you guys in the comments think he should go now, which is, perfectly legitimate point of view to have. I just don't see it at the moment. So, if he were to go now, or next week, shall we say, are there any good candidates to replace him? Now, an argument I've got is if we wait till after the 2023 World Cup where he may just naturally retire or they choose to move on from him, I think there's a lot of really strong candidates that there aren't now. So, guys who could come in and replace him now, and I'm kind of excluding international candidates coming in and applying, which of course they would. I'm thinking of more candidates closer to home that we know quite well. Number one, John Mitchell. I really think John Mitchell could be a candidate to take England through to the 2023 World Cup, maybe on like a 2-year contract with a renewal possibly after that World Cup, if they choose to get rid of Eddie Jones. He knows all the players, he's in the system, he's done the scouting. Sure, he's not English, so, there are some advantages to being English. It's not saying you should exclude foreign coaches at all, but there's definitely some advantage to being English, know the system, know the culture, know the players a bit better. But he could do it. He's done head coaching before very successfully, and he's even said himself he's had to learn to be a number 2 because, he is a natural leader. So I think he could step in and do a good job, potentially. Other candidates, internal candidates, if you like, within the country, within the system, if you like. Well, I think coaching at the moment up in Scotland, Cockrell could be a man who would apply. I think he probably would apply, actually. Done a lot of head coaching at Leicester, done very well. We know the saga that he left. He probably actually improved his reputation after leaving because it was, such a disaster after him. And then at Edinburgh, he's done a really good job, pulled them around, and they're consistent performers now. So that CV is very strong. He doesn't have international experience, but, what can he do about that? Maybe he will have to go away and coach a more minor team as such. But I think he might be a decent candidate. So those two really are the ones that spring to mind. Now, what would happen in 2 to 3 years? Now, a couple more candidates I think could be likely. Andy Farrell. If let's say Ireland have a disappointing World Cup, they're in a very tough group, they may decide to move on from Andy Farrell, or if the England job comes up, he may just see it as too good an opportunity. He's pretty early in his Ireland tenure, but it could happen. He'll have international experience. He'll have learnt a lot with Ireland, coaching a tier 1 team, a really good team like Ireland. He'll have learnt so much, made a few mistakes probably and learnt from them. He's English. He knows the system. He's been in the England coaching team before. Could definitely work. Number 2, would Shaun Edwards be tempted to come and give head coaching another go? He's done head coaching at club level, but he hasn't done it yet at international level, although he definitely has the characteristics to step up. Would he want to carry on with France? Would they want him to carry on? I don't know, but it's definitely something I think England should consider. Number 3, the magic man himself, Rob Baxter. Just done amazing things with Exeter. At the moment, why would he want to come and coach England with Exeter right at the top of their game? Sure, he kind of has done everything with them as such as winning the Premiership and now the European Cup, but they're in prime place to win more trophies in the next few years, especially with Saracens off the scene and disrupted for a while at least. So, he might decide in a couple of years after that World Cup, right, I've done it with Exeter now, I'll leave them in a great place, and the kind of last job of my coaching career, I'm going to go all in for England. At the moment, he's so dedicated to Exeter, there's no reason for him to move right now. But I think maybe in a few years' time, which actually coincides to when his Exeter deal expires, could be a good time for him. Another guy, the last guy on my list, bit of a wild card here, but Pat Lam of Bristol. My goodness me, what a coach, what a difference he made at Connacht. With a limited budget, playing amazing rugby, then moving to Bristol with a bigger budget, but still playing amazing rugby. That mix of hard rugby and then also free-flowing rugby as well. I think the question is, would that style transfer well to the international game, or would he have to change a bit? It would be exciting though. Fantastic man manager as well, highly inspirational. So if you add all those candidates in together, plus other external candidates from the rest of the world, then you'd probably have a very strong list of candidates to pick from, and also you wouldn't have to pay Eddie off. So anyway, that's my take on it, guys. That's why I don't think they should sack Eddie Jones now, and maybe they should move on whatever happens after the 2023 World Cup. That would mean Eddie Jones needs to rebuild this team, and he would need to actually start doing some of the things he says. In the past, he's said about hybrid players, about different tactics, kind of revolutionary things, brought young players into the squad, but never really done anything about it. Now he's going to have to do something about it. Anyway, guys, love to know what you think about that. If you should go now, if you agree with me, pop other names in the hat about potential coaches as well. And I will catch you next time, guys.